Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM Abuja. I am Inyene Ibanga. First, the headlines. Benue killings, Senate calls for state of emergency. Federal government says it has no agreement with striking health workers. On the foreign scene, French president says Donald Trump may drop Iran nuclear deal. And in sports, Super Eagles coach Raw speaks on why Nigeria is taking young players to the World Cup. Details of this and more will come your way shortly. Stay tuned. The Senate has called on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in Benue State and other states facing deadly violence. The call followed a deliberation of motion on continued killings in Benue State, sponsored by George Akume. The call comes a few days after 19 persons, including 2 priests, in a church in Ukpo Mbalom, a community in Gwe West local government area. The senators condemned the inefficiency of security chiefs and agencies, adding that declaring state of emergency is the best way to drive out the perpetrators. The Senate has also resolved to summon President Muhammadu Buhari to address the legislature on the spate of killings in Nigeria. In another development, the Senate has declared the current payment by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) for subsidy of petrol illegal. It asked the corporation to refund the sum of 216 billion naira spent for the purpose in 2017 under the guise of operational costs into the federal government coffers. The legislature also asked the corporation to stop further payment of the subsidy while asking it to pay the arrears owed fuel marketers. The Committee on Public Accounts made the recommendations in its report on the investigation into the illegal subsidy payments, which was adopted by the Senate at plenary on Thursday. The report, among other things, also called for sanctioning of the officials involved in the illegal payment of the subsidies. To deepen Nigeria's democracy, all arms of government must be alive to their responsibilities and ensure that due process is followed in all its workings. The people stated this while reacting to the expenditure incurred by the federal government on the purchase of Super Tucano aircraft for over $496 million without the National Assembly's approval. President Muhammadu Buhari had on Tuesday written to the National Assembly seeking for the inclusion of the amount in the 2018 appropriation bill, which is yet to be passed by the legislature.
Not long ago, the Air Force itself procured some aircraft. Then we also had armor tanks, about 200 that was given by Jordanian government, and assistance and other things. Why waste this amount? This amount, I don't think, needed to be wasted on the procurement of this aircraft with these donations and support we've got from all this international committee of nations. Whether it is in the constitution for any money that is taken from the ECA to go through National Assembly or not, they should give both the upper and lower chamber their respect as an arm of government.
For me, we actually need that helicopter, no doubt. How come, if they know it does not need the National Assembly approval, how come they finally wrote letter to National Assembly yesterday? You can't be doing the right thing in a wrong way. Impunity is impunity. The law is not made for one man. What makes you think that the next person that will take over from you will have the kind of decoded integrity? But American government have told us since last year that they are going to supply us. Why didn't we include it in our budget? Some people are not doing their job. For a system to work where there must be a reward and sanction system. The worst kind of corruption is nepotism. And I think that is what is playing out in Nigeria. And as long as this is going to be playing out, we are going to be going up and down, and we're going to, instead of going forward, we're going to be going backward. This is democracy, this is autocracy. And in the democracy, there is the executive arm, there is the legislative arm, and there is the judiciary arm. And all these things must go. We need to learn as a people so we can move forward.
We know that there are policies in the country, but there are no working policies. It's a normal thing, we are used to it. We've seen it as a normal thing in country Nigeria because there are policies, but there are no working policies. The country is just ruled by some set of people. National Assembly and what view that you have are just for formalities.
President Buhari had explained that he gave the anticipatory approval for the withdrawal of the amount because of the February deadline given by the U.S. government to close the deal on the aircraft purchase. As political activities ahead of 2019 general election intensify, the security agencies in the country have been advised to shun anything that could lead to electoral fraud. The warning becomes necessary because of the sensitive roles the agencies have in the electoral process.
2019 election for both gubernatorial, presidential and others that is in the corner, especially the Nigerian police force that are constitutionally charged with civil protection as well as defense of anything that has to do with internal security. I think they have to do more than enough not to compromise standards by not allowing some corrupt politicians to use money to attract them. They should know that they want to defend the citizens of the country as well as the constitution and the interests of the country. No senator, governor, minister or whosoever is greater than the country. So what they sworn as commission officers and other ranks to uphold and defend is the citizens of the country. Therefore, at the time they are posted to the polling units, at the places of collection of elections and what have you, they should do whatever is possible to live up to ethical standards. That way, Nigerian citizens have confidence in their activities and they should go by 100% adherence to rules of engagement.
Every security apparatus must first understand that the government will come and go, but the Nigerian people will remain. They are first Nigerians. They must want and they must be willing to see that the Nigerian political space grow better than what it used to be. They must understand that being around for political activities does not make them politicians. They need to do what is right. They need to be apolitical. You must not have political affinity. Whether you like it or not, our democracy is still very fragile. The masses will come out and vote. They will vote en masse. Then the Nigerian police must learn how to protect them, not to victimize them. They have the right to vote and they must exercise their right.
We should have a Nigerian that their fundamental right should be protecting the right of every citizen of the country. We do not value the lives of our citizens, but I want to urge the security agents, because the election is coming forward. People value their positions more than the life of individuals. But I'm urging the security agents, they should walk up to their task to ensure that at least people's lives and properties are being protected, because that is what we need.
As the world celebrates World Intellectual Day, Nigerians have emphasized the need for women to be given the enabling environment to showcase their intellectual capacity. This year's World Intellectual Property Day campaign celebrates the brilliance, ingenuity, curiosity, and courage of the women who are driving change in the world.
I am an advocate for good child training, and when you talk about child training, it starts from the family and mostly it's left to the women. The women has really done a lot to even shaping the way our life is today, and they've really innovated many things, but it's just that the challenges we have in our country, traditions has really played a negative part, because in our most traditions we don't give the women the enabling environment to showcase what they have, and that has been something that has been preventing them from acting the way they should act. But with recent times we've seen women in the country who have really created change, that we are given opportunities.
Women have played a huge part in the world of innovative and creativity, and I would like to cite a few examples of some great women that we had in our time. The late Miss Dora Akunyili. She was a great woman. She contributed a lot. She made a whole lot of people to come to know what NAFDAC really stands for in Nigeria due to her contribution, due to her passion for what she did and for what she was doing then while she was still alive, in terms of combating fake drugs and all. And we equally have the likes of Okonja Iweala. She has done great things because she contributed immensely. So the fact is, I want to encourage more women out there to continue to do wonders, to continue to do exploit, because the fact is that they have a lot to contribute in the world.
Every April 26th is marked World Intellectual Property Day, and it's celebrated to learn about the role that intellectual property rights, patents, trademarks, industrial designs, copyright play in encouraging innovation and creativity. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, says the federal government has no agreement with the striking members of the Joint Health Sector Union, JOHESU. Adewale said this in an interview with State House correspondents on Wednesday at the end of the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council in Abuja. The minister said the only documents the striking union had presented to the present administration were minutes of meetings its leadership had with the last administration. He said the government cannot implement minutes of meetings which could not be said to be an agreement. Adewale also claimed that the government had implemented 14 out of 15 demands made by the union. The news at 6. We'll be back after this break. Stay with us. You're welcome back to the news at 6 on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, Abuja. We now go to the foreign scene. French President Emmanuel Macron has said he may have failed in efforts to persuade Donald Trump to stick to an international nuclear deal with Iran. Macron said at the end of a 3-day state visit to the U.S. that Trump will get rid of the deal on his own for domestic reasons. Trump has until 12 May to decide on the deal, which aimed to prevent Iran acquiring nuclear weapons. Macron made changing of the U.S. president's mind on Iran a top priority for his next visit, but ended up admitting there was a big risk that Trump would abandon the deal. Under the deal, Iran has agreed to redesign the nuclear reactor so that it could not produce weapons and to allow inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency into any site in the country they regarded as suspicious. If any aspect of the deal is violated, the UN sanctions will resume for 10 years. And on to sports. Super Eagles manager Gernot Rohr has explained why majority of the players he intends to name to his World Cup roster are classed as young players. The Super Eagles are led by Obi Mikel and the likes of Abdullahi Shehu, William Troost Ekong and Wilfred Ndidi are expected to fill the defensive positions. Alex Iwobi and Kelechi Iheanacho, who scored crucial goals in the qualifying sessions, are expected to be named in attack. The coach said he wanted to build a new team, adding that his team is the youngest squad of the World Cup. He said Nigeria already has a good team spirit with players. Rohr said the team had a little problem at first to build a stable defense, but noted that the defense is becoming solid. And that's the news, but before we go, here's a recap of our top stories. Benue killings. Senate calls for state of emergency. Federal government says it has no agreement with striking health workers. On the foreign scene, French president says Donald Trump may drop Iran nuclear deal. And in sports, Super Eagles coach Gernot Rohr speaks on why Nigeria is taking young players to the World Cup. That's the news at 6 on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. We'd like to say thanks for staying with us. My name is Inyene Ibanga. Good evening.